Hey everybody, Vera Stewart, and thank you for joining me tonight for the VeryVera Show. You know, what do you do when you put somebody from Washington, Georgia, and somebody from Augusta, Georgia, and combine the fact that they've both been on Throwdown with Bobby Flay, and then add on that the guy got on the Martha Stewart Living Show, and you've got a really great show. Well, that's what we're doing tonight on the VeryVera Show. Joe Barnett from Washington, Georgia is going to join me tonight, and y'all, his shrimp and grits are award winning. I mean, he's got so many awards, I wouldn't even have had room for the food tonight if we put them all on the table. So please tune in. We're going to be showing you how to really get the grits just perfectly seasoned, wonderfully cooked. He's got a twist on how to actually cook the grits and also the shrimp. So we've got wonderful shrimp, grits, butter, all of those yummy things. So join me, get a glass of wine. You don't want to miss this show tonight. Joe, hey, golly, thanks for coming. This is awesome. This is awesome. I tell you, we got two winners here. We got two folks that said, you know what, Bobby Flay might challenge us, but we play to win. Absolutely.
He's a nice guy, but I don't know if he ever wants to come back to Georgia. Every time he comes, we
bust
give him in.
And you know, you got on the Martha Stewart Living Show. Yeah. My gosh. And you know, I'm sure that she took one look at you, knew how to do this, but then you knew how to make draperies.
That's kind of where she lost it right now. What man. Y'all got?
Well,
my accent.
Your accent, mine too, I tell you. Well, I am so thrilled that you were willing to come and share with the audience today for the VeryVera Show your famous shrimp and grits.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
So I see the pot matches the Georgia Bulldog apron. Yeah. So let's get started. What we got going on
we're
here?
Going ahead. We got about 10 cups of water. We brought it to a boil. And if you think one thing about grits, they're kind of like little sponges. They, kind of like on the bus, whatever you cook them in is what they're going to be flavored like. They're going to absorb whatever the broth and everything is that you put it in. So
the secret is the broth. The secret is what you're putting in the water.
Exactly. That's another trick too, that you can actually add more layers of flavor by putting it into the broth and building your flavor base there, and then using the grits as a vehicle to carry that to the finish. For your shrimp and grits, I always prefer the chicken stock, and we're using the chicken bouillon cubes.
Okay, and you've got the water already boiling.
Already boiling. Okay. We're just going to drop these in. This is pretty simple. And there's a new product on the market that I have gotten to fell in love with.
I could be stirring that around. Okay. You want me to do that with the whisk?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
This is a kind of a gel.
I know how to stir.
This is a gel, and it's a little
Okay, now what was that again? I missed that.
This is a new kind of item that's on the market now. This is a gel form of a chicken bouillon base, and it makes a really rich.
And Norris makes that.
They do.
Okay.
And there are local stores here in town and everywhere. They just
I know they have them at Fresh Market. That's great.
That's where
absolutely.
That came from.
That's absolutely great. Okay.
And we'll get that let that come to a boil, and we'll probably taste that. And the point you're looking for.
Oh, I can smell it already. Well, in this area, and certainly this time of year, at the end of April, and people are starting to get ready to do outside entertaining, even setting up something like this, I've kind of created a look for tonight. We're outside by the pool, but this is something interactive. I mean, you love to do this when you're entertaining.
Oh, Lord, yes.
So, to come up with ideas of things that you can do interactive, get your guest involved, the aroma's going, it just works out really well.
And gives you time to tell some good old stories.
Good stories, and I know you've got plenty of those. Okay, so now let's get the grits. Tell me a little bit about that.
This is another trick. I use the quick grits, and the reason I do, there's absolutely no difference in a quick grit and a regular.
Here, let's
we gotta flip that back.
Flip that. And I got muscles too, Joe.
I know. beautiful and strong. I tell you, Miss Vera, you're the whole package.
Okay, well, we're going to get these grits added.
All right.
And then when we come back after the break, we'll see how thick this is starting to get. So
Okay.
don't go away. Come back and join us. Let's whisk those down. Welcome back, everybody. You know, it's a wonderful spring evening, and the aroma is unbelievable. The wind isn't blowing. It's not blowing your fire. The fire hadn't blown out yet. I mean, we're having a great time. And if you're just joining us, I'm here with my friend Joe Barnett from Washington, Georgia. The two of us, these two Georgia natives, have beat Bobby Flay. He beat him with shrimp and grits. I beat him with the carrot cake. And now he's beating these grits half to death. And they're looking awesome. Okay, Joe, tell me where we are in this process.
We've got our grits, and they've done what we call a blossom or bloom or flower. And the little small particles of grits themselves, they have the broth that we cooked them in has taken it and it's kind of formed out, and they're breaking down into finer and finer particles, and that's what you call when you say smooth and creamy grits. This is what we're talking about here.
Because as it's absorbed all the chicken, the bouillon and the stock is breaking down the grits
themselves.
Okay.
And when you're whisking, the more you whisk, and the creamier they'll become.
Oh man, those are just looking great. Okay, is it time to put the butter in?
Oh yes, ma'am.
I was saying all those grits, and we're only going to put one stick of butter. My goodness.
We're going to go ahead. We're going to put the butter, and then we're going to start with our cheese. And
okay, and you're using unsalted because all the other things you've already added have salt in it.
You got a lot of salt in the bouillon cubes themselves.
Okay.
So it really doesn't need it.
And then you've got a sharp cheddar.
Right, this is Cracker Barrel. That's one of the things I believe in is this. You can use other cheeses.
Just like this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I would use this Cracker Barrel extra sharp cheddar as my base, and then you can find a second cheese if you want to. The one that I'm using today is a white cheddar from Vermont, and we're using about half and half Cracker Barrel extra sharp, and the other half is the white.
Okay. Let me
cheddar
put some
from
white
Vermont.
in there. Okay, are you putting cream in there too?
Yes, ma'am.
Man. Okay, where'd that cheese go? Man, this stuff's hot. Well, this is really great. And now, do you taste along, Joe?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, I do. And
I
also cook with my nose. I know that might not sound very appealing, but I can smell what I want it to smell like. And
well, you know, I say that at VeryVera when it comes to the things that we bake. If you really start to smell it, it must mean it's almost done.
Right.
Gosh, that's looking great. Okay,
I'm not a chef. I'm just a cook.
Well, and see, I can tell now that it really is. It's almost like it's become one.
Exactly.
You don't really see the little granules of the grits anymore. And, you know, for those of you that are watching, I think, you know, you can't go to an event anymore without seeing shrimp and grits on the menu. And I know you're telling me that today you put a new twist on this that we're going to learn a little bit more about in the next segment. But I think to master something this simple and to master it is quite the art form. All right, so we're going to keep going with this. We've got to go back out to a break, but I'm going to keep adding cheese, Joe, till you tell me to stop.
Okay.
And then I guess you're going to keep adding cream, but it's going to be good. So don't go too far away from the TV. We're going to be learning a little bit more about the history of this dish and also the best part, the shrimp. And they're wild too, aren't they, Joe? We got some wild shrimp today. We're going to have fun.
They might not be as wild as you and I, but
so come back and join us after the break. Welcome back, and if you are just joining us, you have really missed something. So I hope you're taping it because you're going to want to go back and watch this. Joe, I tell you, this is awesome. And these, I cannot wait to try these grits. Look how wonderful they look. They're so creamy and thick. And I mean, I can even smell the cheese in here.
Oh, yeah.
They just turned out great.
We're going to take you back to yesterday, Lamb.
Well, I'm already there. So good gracious. So now what do we got? I know we've used about 100 sticks of butter today. You know, me, I'm always talking about, you know, trying to eat light, and here we are. But, okay, so what we got going?
We're going to go ahead and we're going to make our sauce. It's a Creole style sauce. It starts with a roux. And then we'll be adding chicken stock, cream, tomatoes, Worcestershire sauce, hot sauce, and this will go over the finished dish when we get through. We'll have a base of the cheese grits, then we have our sauteed shrimp, and then the country ham, and finally this roux-based sauce goes over.
Okay, so this was, you had me working on this during the break. Right. I did a stick of butter. I had a half a cup of flour, so that's equal parts flour and
flour to fat. Yes.
Okay, and so then what else have you put in here?
Nothing yet.
That's how beautiful golden it is.
That was the color. Okay. The roux, like I said, in Creole cooking,
and I probably
the darker roux you use with more of stronger flavors like your game dishes. Your lighter colored roux you use with your seafood dishes. It's a lighter colored meats, lighter colored.
Oh, okay.
So that's the way it goes. And we're going to get started. We're going to add chicken stock. And we got to bring that up to temperature.
Okay, now you've got some other seasonings in that chicken stock. What did you put in there?
White pepper. And, white pepper is all.
Ooh wee! So that's really making a really great gravy. Gosh, the aroma is fantastic. You want me to add a little bit more?
Just a little bit more. Okay, we're going to have some other liquid. Let's have a little bit of the cream and the hot sauce.
All right.
Right there.
Yeah, with these ingredients, I mean, what in the world could you do to make this bad? Okay, hot sauce.
Yeah.
Now, how much of that are we
about
putting in?
4 or 5 drops, or 4 or 5 shakes, as they say. So
okay.
Keep coming. Right there.
That's pretty hot.
Yeah.
I tell you, these Georgia cooks, we're hot. I mean, we know what we're doing over here.
Now we're going to add these are actually diced tomatoes.
Okay.
Canned tomatoes now. Normally, I would be using garden tomatoes that I had put up during
Okay, look at don't mess up my sweater because I wore shrimp colored today. I don't need to wear it.
Well, that's bad. You're going to be shrimp colored when you leave, too.
I know. I probably, oh, man. Okay, so it's supposed to be that thick.
Yeah. We're going to thin it down a little bit more.
Just a little bit more? Okay.
Right,
now, do I need to be heating this butter?
Yes, ma'am. We need to go ahead and fire that up. That's going to be fried shrimp. And I'm going to add a little bit more chicken stock, some Worcestershire.
Tell you, the wind has cooperated with us because we were worried about these outside cookers.
And then we got to bring this up to a simmer and let it simmer for about 10 minutes and it'll be ready.
Okay. All right. I'm going to borrow this wooden spoon.
Okay.
All right. And what you need now?
Here's our shrimp.
And these shrimp, okay, you got to give us a little bit of history here.
Yeah, these are Georgia wild shrimp, and these are the best shrimp in the world. And they are the Georgia Wild Shrimp Association. They are one of the best outfits in the going, and I love using their product. And there's I know the fresh market sells Georgia Wild Shrimp. The season runs from May through December, and they're totally, as they say, is renewable because a wild shrimp will live about 14 months. So
aren't these Georgia wild shrimp? They're a little bit sweeter.
They are. They're real sweet. Yeah, and these are the white shrimp. You'll have shrimp from the Gulf Coast, which are wild shrimp too, but 85% of the catch that is in the Gulf is going to be the brown shrimp, and 15% is going to be the white shrimp. And then what's real unique is that it's exactly the reverse in Georgia on the Atlantic side. you'll have 85% white shrimp and 15% of the brown shrimp.
All right, well, with that note, we're going to come back after the break. We're going to get these sweet Georgia shrimp in this wonderful butter. Here we go with butter again. So come back after the break. We're going to get this plated, and I can't wait to try it.
Okay.
Have you seen something on the VeryVera show lately that you want to do for a dinner party, or maybe read something in a food magazine? You know, the food is easy for me. Sometimes the guest list is the hardest part. I try to get a little bit more diversified right now in my guest list, maybe combining young people with older people, trying to invite maybe someone that's new in the community so they can start to meet some people. You should try that too. It's a great way to polish some of your own entertaining skills, is to not invite the same people over and over. Another thing that's very important, when you get an invitation that has a series of names of people that have hosted the party, be sure that you refer back to that invitation before you go, so that when it's time to leave, instead of just thanking the person whose home you're in, that you go back through the list and you thank each and every person that had the party that night. So remember, try to do a great guest list and thank all the hosts and hostesses. Welcome back, and you know, Joe, this has been so much fun. You know, I want you to come back one day and I'm going to make a cake and you can help me.
Oh, okay.
How would that be? But in the meantime, I think the audience has probably been completely enthralled with this whole process, from how we got the grits going to making this wonderful roux and the things that went into it. And now you have, tell us how you've prepared the shrimp.
The shrimp, we after peeling and then deveining them, we mixed 1 part of paprika, 1 part of Italian seasoning, and 2 parts of a Creole spice. We blended that up, we put it over our shrimp, and we let them just marinate for no more than about 15-20 minutes, and then we put some margarine in this pan and sauteed them off like this and put them in here. And now we're getting ready to assemble the dish.
Okay, so why don't you get some more shrimp going? Because believe it or not, Joe showed me how to do this. So I'm gonna try my best not to mess up.
And these guys look hungry. They look like they can eat all these shrimp and some more.
Oh my goodness, yeah. The camera crew on the VeryVera show is going to get quite a treat. But you know, on these grits, and when you make things like this ahead to entertain, and this is maybe where some of my years of experience with cooking, always have things like extra chicken stock,
right, yeah,
extra cream, so that if the grits have gotten a little thicker than you want, you can always thin them down before you serve.
And grits, you can, if they're a little thick, thin them down. If they're a little thin, just cook them just a little bit long, and they'll thicken themselves.
All right,
back
so
up.
my next thing is this.
Right, that's
right.
the roux
So we've got a
topping.
little bit of the shrimp, and I'm gonna do this fancy, Joe.
Okay.
I'm gonna kind of play with it a little bit and put it over.
Right. Then you
now,
put your shrimp on there.
Does the shrimp go before the ham?
Yes, ma'am. All right.
And what kind of ham is this?
It's a sugar-cured maple ham. It's a Georgia ham, Georgia product.
Very good. And you know, the Fresh Market is all about having Georgia products in their store, which I absolutely love.
I do too. I'm
all
a firm
right.
believer in that.
Okay, so now while you keep sauteing those, I'm going to get the privilege of being the one that gets to try this first right here. And this is completely great.
Well,
This is complete.
you.
So tell me.
You want to know something about the history of the dish?
do.
Okay. It really, grits have been around since 900 AD. They actually were part of the Mayan diet. In the dish, shrimp and grits, came out about in the late 1800s. People started recognizing that during the antebellum period before the Civil War in the South, the slaves that worked in the kitchens, they were fed the 2 cheapest things that they could find, and one of those was grits and the other was shrimp. The shrimp were basically free. You could just go out and throw a net in a creek and catch some shrimp. So obviously the owners of the people that worked in the kitchen, they wanted the cheapest thing they could find, so that's what it was. But the people that were there that were eating the shrimp and the grits, they would take just about anything that was left over from the dinner service in there. They would take little bits of ham or this or that or whatever was left over to flavor it.
Yeah, and we're going to have more information on a little bit of this along with the recipes from today's show on the website. That's NBC26.tv and click on the VeryVera Show. Joe's been kind enough to share his recipe with us. That'll be there for you. But I want to thank you, Joe, for being with us today. And I want to invite everybody to join me next Saturday night. I've got another special guest, the Lee brothers, who just written their third cookbook, will be joining us. You might want to come back and watch that. So join us next week. But in the meantime, from Washington, Georgia, from Augusta, Georgia, and for all of you that love food as much as the two of us, please continue to join us on the VeryVera Show every Saturday at 6 o'clock.
Enjoyed it.
I might not share any of this.